because I have it covered, I wouldn't believe them. We have to keep working on this all the time. It's nothing, leaving nothing to chance. Ceremonies of repetition, and looking at what it means when we do it. The difference when people sit up and say, "Oh, yeah, they're talking about me in the curriculum in a good way, right?" So what does that mean? And how do we draw it into learning and climate that makes everybody feel, yes, I can learn. I want to be here. This is my school, too. Yeah, okay. Can we have another one? Who else? You have definitely been accounted for. It's not that I'm neglecting you, but what about some other topics from back here? Who have we not heard from? Please share yours. And
So the question is, what strategies can I use and what knowledge can I include to accelerate learning among students who are working below grade level and to challenge students who are working at or above grade level? So our table discussed, and we actually did do our work. We actually broke it down to the kids who are below grade level.
Can we hear you?
One of the recommendations we talked about was having kids working in groups. So they can learn from their peers. Some kids learn better from their peers than from the teachers. So then one of the challenge questions was, well, what happened when kids work in group and some kids take the lead and do the heavy lifting and others don't? And the response was sometimes kids, even though they may not do the heavy lifting, when they're with their peers, they feel that pressure and their challenge, and they are exposed to that learning. So having the opportunity to be exposed the same way at the high school level for honors and AP courses, some kids may not, on the surface, appear to be qualified for it, but putting them in that course, in those courses, allow them to be exposed, and they actually learn more. And the kids who should be challenged, extending that learning, providing opportunities outside of the classroom for kids to work on projects can really help bring them to that point of learning even more. Another thing one of the colleagues talked about here for the kids who are reading below grade level, or not just reading, but are below grade level, really targeting, being laser focused on those areas that they need to be targeted, rather than just teaching reading across the board. What specific areas in reading do these kids need to be targeted on, and really bringing them in small groups and focusing on their needs.
Okay, thank you very much. And the final from this table here with the variety of resources, right? Remember, we had that. That was the one they were talking about. Okay, could we just get a quick update from the folks who had a very energetic discussion about the variety of resources? Would you like to go?
We had the same question about strategies and knowledge. We spoke a lot about the importance of assessments, data to really understand the students, either formally, of course, also observationally. We talked about meeting the needs of all our students using the workshop model, having personalized instruction, really utilizing educational technology as well, having flipped or blended model of instruction, learning management systems to give personalized learning, differentiated learning. At our table, we also talked a lot about homework too, and how the sense of control or the lack of control we have with homework. There was a conversation about using homework as a communication tool to let parents know what's happening in the class, as well as then the challenge of we can't really control what's going on at homework, right? And so the conversation went into flipped and blended model of instruction and having those videos for students to be able to access all the time or repeatedly that they can go back to. Led into more about systems and partnering with our district level with getting devices that can be checked out for students that or families that don't have access, and in partnering with the internet service providers to have low-cost internet. A very creative idea was having a bus, one of your school buses, and having that as a Wi-Fi hotspot and parking it right there at the community for families and parents and everyone to be able to have access to data and to the flipped videos.
Thank you, and I'm glad you took the lead because I hadn't seen to ask you but thank you. And then this final set here from a group that talked about variety of resources.
Right, our question was about how can we design lessons that are appealing to students by using a variety of resources. So immediately, we began to talk about our quiver of different resources. However, we also talked about some of the other tables, as they mentioned, using the students as a resource themselves and generating ideas from them. And then the discussion morphed into many other things.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I know that it's time to go, but I think we heard from all tables, I think. Was there any table that didn't hear their question discussed? I mean, I know I probably have to check, but I think that we got some input from most people, and I want to thank you for doing that. Time is very short, but this is one thing I want to leave you with, that to do this ongoing journey of equity, we need at least two things: hope and urgency. Hope when we look at all the things that we have in fact accomplished, and urgency when we recognize what is left to be done and how much is left to be done on an ongoing basis. And as I say, this is just the, a trigger for our ongoing learning. And I really want to encourage you to document what you see, to remember the notions of, continuous ceremonies of repetition. So we always do it. Remember that what's changed can be changed back. Remember, too, that systems are in your control, in addition to the systems that are large and are with us all the time. And, there are days when you think nothing changes, but I want to remind you, document what does change, because that's what's going to keep you going when we think we're slipping, because things do change. And often we're not reminded of the good news that's out there in education. We only hear what isn't working. So thank you very much for allowing me to keep you going for that. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.